Hey, Sandra. Bear with me. Just finishing up. I literally just ran from my desk to come here. Bear with me. Oh no. I tied this a bit too tight. Let me see who else is going to join us this evening. Ooh, that is too tight. How did I do that? Hello. Hello, everyone. Sorry. My face looks busted. Bear with me. I'm trying to change the orientation of this live. Bear with me. How are you all doing today? Oh my God. I hope you're all doing well. It's a weekend. In the UK, we're having a long weekend today. This weekend, it's going to be a long one. I'm trying to turn. Yeah, it is. I don't know how many of us are on live. I can't see. Bear with me, guys. My thing just as I was going on live, the whole thing just fell apart. Didn't happen the last time, but here we are. Let me see if I can mount it like this and it doesn't fall. Nope, no, it won't stay like that way. Let me try something else. If I change the orientation. Okay, no. I can't do that. Let me try something else, guys. Did everybody have a good week? Is everybody doing okay? What do you guys think about what we are chatting about? If you see it on the live, we're chatting about Prince Harry. Prince Harry has given us a response, guys. Hi. Harry has given us a response, people. Our discussion today is going to be on Harry. It's going to be on this ridiculous royal family. I set up my camera. The whole thing fell apart literally as this chat started. Hi, Erin. How's New York? How's Trump? I hope the Trump tariffs are not hitting you guys too hard. Don't worry, we are all going to go through that hell. I assure you, you're not the only one. Everybody's feeling the bite. I hope you're keeping safe. How's New York? Okay. I'm just trying to buy time, guys, so that I can get my. It seems like I'm going to be holding my hand while we have the live, so bear with me because my mount literally fell apart. Let me just get the article open. So, as mentioned, for those of you who've seen my video, good evening. Good evening from the UK. It's 5:36 now. I think I was waiting to give people more time. Hi, Chris. I am living in the UK. Current South London. South London gang. Hey. Yes, it is. It's pizza ASMR. I don't know what that would be like, but okay. Let me see what I have for you, beautiful people, today. So, guys, just to give you a quick update on where we are. Prince Harry, those of you who haven't seen my video, Prince Harry, our beautiful Prince Harry and the babies, guys. This is an absolute disgraceful performance by his ridiculous father and his clown show of a brother. And we're going to be reacting to the article, Prince Harry's response to the security, him losing his security. We're going to react to it. Don't worry, I'll be reading it out. Now, guys, as mentioned on my channel, I'm not using OBS. I'm not using OBS or any of those tools. I am, as much as possible, trying to keep this, because they're monetizing everything now, guys. So it wouldn't be beneficial to me to do that. So what I am going to do now is I am going to give you a live reaction. We're going to listen to Harry and hear his words, reacting to the, even though it's disgraceful, even though it is a disgraceful decision, it's still what I, if you've seen my video, you know I'm a fan of that decision, actually, because it means that Harry is free and safe to live his life, right? He doesn't have to worry about, his kids' protection. He doesn't have to worry about a thing. He is safe in California. And that's something, honestly, that he should be happy about. So I'm going to press play now. If anybody, I'm playing this directly on, let me get it on the screen so that people can hear it. As mentioned, I cannot do a live from my laptop, or sorry, from my phone, because I will get demonetized. So I'm going to be playing it directly from, let me come here. I'm going to be playing it directly from online sources. Bear with me. I hope you're all doing well. If you're happy with this content, please like, subscribe, share, guys. I need your help to help me grow my channel. Please like, subscribe, share. I know things are difficult for many of us. It's a nice little super chat will also be appreciated, but please don't feel like it's compulsory. If you can't, we're all friends here. I know people are struggling. Let me get Harry. I'm just opening up the link here. Perfect. Here we go. We are going to listen to Harry, guys. Are you ready? Let's do it. Oh, they're asking me to log in. Oh, F off. Bear with me. I have BBC iPlayer here, so I'll go and watch it from there. Yeah, JK Vantage. It's a disgrace. It's honestly a disgrace to see how Harry is being treated. Honestly, every time I think these people cannot go any lower, they just somehow manage to find a basement in hell and go right there. It's disgusting behavior. Okay, so I'm playing it live now. Are you ready? Let's do it. Guys, you will hear it from my background. If you can't hear it, please let me know. Let's do it, guys.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the.
Are we ready? Good.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done, despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland. You know.
And as you say, you've gone back several times during this years-long battle. What about the security arrangements that were in place made you feel it would be unsafe for you and your family?
There's only so much that I can say because of the redaction process and the national security matters at hand, but everything. Because in beginning of 2020, I was scored the highest as far as risk was concerned, and then overnight I was reduced to the lowest without actually going through the risk management board. So one does question how that is even possible, and also the motive behind that at the time. And that was in 2020. And as hard as it is to appreciate or understand why the decision was made the way that it was in 2020. The hardest thing for me has been the fix of that decision for the last 5 years. The fact that I still haven't had a risk management board assessment done for me over the last 5 years. Everybody else within this group of people get it at the minimum once a year.
Wow.
So
Wow,
again,
guys.
I would not have taken this far if I didn't have compelling evidence of facts that that reveal why the decision was made. And I'm sitting here today talking to you where, you know, we've lost the appeal, but the other side have won in keeping me unsafe. So again, there's a lot of question marks that a lot of people will have. I have all of the truth. I have all of the knowledge now throughout the legal process. I've uncovered my worst fears.
Wow.
And to now know today, based on this judgment, that there was no legal framework that constrains the decisions of this body, RABEC, of which the royal household sits on. And I didn't know that until this legal process in 2021. One of the first things my lawyer said to me was, as disclosure started, or as this process started, she turned around and said, "Did you know that the royal household sat on RABEC?"
Wow.
On the floor.
Well, I want to ask you about that because the King's private secretary sits on RAVIC now.
Sir Clive Waterton, yeah.
Do you wish
And another person as well, but yes.
Do you wish your father had intervened, despite how that may have looked?
I've never asked him to intervene. I've asked him to step out of the way and let the experts do their job. This RABEC committee is an expert committee full of professionals, plus the royal household. And the royal household don't have any role in that, on the RABEC committee, other than the helping influence the decisions based on members of the royal family. And 5 years later, every single visit that I do back to the UK has to go through the royal household. My representative on the RABEC committee, still to this day, is the royal household. That is not a decision that I choose. I am forced to go through the royal household and accept that they are putting my best interests forward during these conversations and the deliberations. So no, I haven't asked my father to intervene. The whole point of a risk management board, which, as I said, everybody else gets, but I haven't, never been given since back end of 2019 was the last one that I was given. The whole point of that is to have a board, a risk assessment, a separate board from RABEC that considers all of the facts and all the circumstances. It is a system and an assessment that is designed to be non-biased and to avoid interference. What I know throughout this legal process is the interference that was created came from the royal household. And the RABEC chair at the time, who I believe I can talk about because he's no longer there, Sir Richard Mottram, the first thing he did, or the first people that he went to go and see, was the royal household at the palace. So whether it's the media or whether it's anybody else that claims that the royal household and my father and my family don't have any decision-making capabilities on RABEC, well then what's their role? They're not experts. What's their role on that? And Sir Richard Mottram emailed back in January of 2020 that an RMB would be necessary before taking my security away. After his visit to the palace, that RMB that was planned was abandoned in favour of alternative governance measures.
What the court decided today was that they were justified for 4 reasons to not have that review. And a major part of that is because you're no longer a working royal, a change in your status. Do you not accept that from the court?
Well, my status hasn't changed. It can't change. I am who I am. I am part of what I'm part of, and I can never escape that. my circumstances will always be the same. But with a specific answer to the question, there are comparisons that exist. And again, I have to be careful what I say, but I think it would be quite shocking for the British public and the public at large to understand or know that, in fact, many people do know this, that people who leave public office receive lifetime protection, regardless of whether there are threats or risks to them. So for me, with a whole list of risks and threats that were known about in 2020 and that have only increased over time, including the Al-Qaeda threat that was published and talked about recently, completely disregarded, thrown away, ignored, because for me, security was made conditional on having that official role. That role that everybody knows, that myself and my wife wished to carry on, but was stopped from being able to do that back in 2020.
What do you say to those who ask, why should the taxpayer pay for your police security if you have your own private security? Where are the gaps there? What's your response to those who say you're getting police protection on a case-by-case basis?
I thought, why don't you ask that question again, but in three parts, if you could? Because you just put three very, very important questions together.
Sure.
And I cannot possibly answer all three of them at the same time.
Sure. What do you say to those who ask why the UK taxpayer should pay for police security? You have your own private security.
Well, first off, private security can only do so much. Again, I can't go into the details of that, but I think most people will be able to work that out. One of the major things is they don't have jurisdiction in a foreign country, or in any country, they don't have any jurisdiction. Police protection is effective protection, which is what my grandmother made very clear that we needed. With regard to the taxpayer part of it, I don't need to go into detail how much the royal family costs or how much protection costs, or what I will say is that some of the British tabloid press did a very good job in campaigning to have our security removed by quoting figures such as £20 million. Right, and through this disclosure process, I've seen constituents in the UK write to their MP saying, as a taxpayer, I don't want to pay for Meghan and Harry's security at this cost. They're literally quoting headlines from British newspapers. Those figures are obviously grossly exaggerated by about 18, 19 times. And further to that, if you know that other people are being protected, people that have made a choice for public office, then why wouldn't you be comfortable, happy with someone in my position who's given 35 years service to his country, 2 tours of Afghanistan, and the threats and risks to my life. I was born into this position. I was born into those risks.
Tell them, Harry.
Over time, along with my marriage to Meghan, and the frenzy across media, mainstream media and social media that created. So, I guess on top of that as well, probably what people don't know, but that is mentioned in the judgment today, RAVEC protects private citizens. I was made a private citizen by the royal household, not by RAVEC, by the royal household. I can't be a private citizen. I will never be seen as a private citizen. I will never be treated as a private citizen. Not by the media, not by most people, and certainly not by anybody that wants to harm me or my wife or our kids. So I think once people realise or understand that there are private citizens who have never played any role in public office and never will play any public role, that because they are high risk, they are protected at taxpayers' expense, and rightly so, because it will affect not only with that person, could they end up in hospital or worse on UK soil, but it comes down to impact, and it comes down to the reputational impact of the UK if that person or those people are injured on UK soil. But apparently for me, that doesn't matter.
And just to be absolutely clear, what is the difference between the top level security you say you should have and the security you are given on this case-by-case basis when you go?
So the details of the security I can't talk about. All I will say is that The last R&B assessment I was given, I scored the highest. The only person within the family that scored anywhere near that was my grandmother. Overnight, I was reduced to the lowest. This case-by-case basis has been used by RAVEC and also by large sections of the British press to say, well, what's the big problem? You're given something on a case-by-case basis. Unfortunately, that case-by-case basis is separated by the reason for my visit. So just to give you more context on that, it's not really a case-by-case basis. It's an either-or. If you're invited to the UK by your family, then we will give you security. If you come for any other reason, then you will get a very low amount of security. I'm not going to confirm what that is, but it is completely insufficient. Somewhere along the line, people have talked about the fact that all it is someone on the end of a phone. So, no matter how much private security I have around me, there's only so much that I can do and operate and function within the UK when it comes to supporting my charities, visiting my friends, all of these things. So, I've been treated very, very, very differently to everybody else that exists, all examples that exist, past, present. I've been singled out.
You've spoken very openly about the fact that you think you've been punished for leaving the monarchy. Who specifically do you think is trying to punish you?
I don't think that anymore. Now I know that it was, security was used as leverage. And I think what really worries me more than anything else about today's decision, depending on what happens next, is that it's set a new precedent. That security can be used to control members of the family, and effectively what it does is imprison other members of the family from being able to, choose a different life. If for me security is conditional on having an official role, one that both myself and my wife wished to carry on, but then was rejected, not by RAVEC, was rejected by the royal household, and the result of that is you lose your security. That basically says that you can't live outside of their control if you want to be safe. But so there's a pretty hard decision there, and I think if you strip away all the noise of everything that's been said by other people and all the noise that's been created around this, if you strip that all away, I think what people will hear is that the only thing that I've been asking for throughout this whole process is safety, both when I was part of the institution and when we left. And the important piece here there is, for me and my wife, well, I mean, I'm not sure how much I can say, but I can never leave the royal family. That is my family. That is my larger family. I left the institution because at the end of the day I had to. I didn't leave it in 2020. I left it in 2021. But security was removed in 2020.
Speaking of your family, your father is ill with cancer. Will you continue to visit him alone without the family? Where does this leave things moving forward, the ability of your children to see their grandfather?
Life is a precious thing, and I'm acutely aware of the fragility of that. I can only come to the UK safely if I'm invited. And there is a lot of control and ability in my father's hands. Ultimately, this whole thing could be resolved through him, not necessarily by intervening, but by stepping aside, allowing the experts to do what is necessary and to carry out an RMB. That said, this all was initiated under a previous government. There is now a new government. I have had it described to me, once people knew about the facts, that this is an good old-fashioned establishment stitch-up, and that's what it feels like.
So should Keir Starmer step in?
I think that, based on the judgment that the court has put out today, it clearly states that RAVEC aren't constrained by law. Again, I wish somebody had said that from the beginning. If they're not constrained by law, then this decision was made by the royal prerogative, which means that on national security matters, my case, which the other side have used national security exclusions and excuses to withhold certain information from me, restrict me from being able to speak about certain things to the public, that this national security matter is not bound by any law, and that RAVEC can abandon the very processes, the very expert processes that exist to protect individuals and the people around them, as well as the decision makers themselves, from liability if anything should happen. So, I would ask the Prime Minister to step in. I would ask Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, to look at this very, very carefully, and I would ask her to review RAVEC and its members. Because if it is an expert body, then what is the royal household's role there? If it isn't to influence and decide what they want for the members of their household.
Do you want the court battle to continue? Do you want to try to see this get to the Supreme Court?
I don't want any battles to continue. There is way too much suffering and way too much conflict in the world. At the heart of it is a family dispute. And it makes me really, really sad that we're sitting here today, 5 years later, where a decision that was made, most likely, in fact I know, to keep us under the roof. But then once you realise that wasn't going to work, once they realised that, myself, my wife, our kids are happier outside of the institution, then please just look at the facts. Look at the risks, look at the threat, look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, if anything was to happen to them, look where the responsibility lies. So, there's a duty of care that has been completely thrown out the window, and that doesn't feel great. Whether we agree or disagree, and there's a lot we agree on, there's a lot that we disagree on. But that aside, where is the duty of care? Because, as I said, life is precious, and it is very clear that from 2020, because I was no longer allowed an official role, and because I decided to remove myself eventually from the institution, that my life got devalued from the highest score to the lowest score overnight.
And how does that make you feel, given you have expressed numerous times that you do not want history to repeat itself?
I don't want history to repeat itself. I think there's a lot of other people out there, and the majority that also don't want history to repeat itself. Through the disclosure process, I've discovered that some people want history to repeat itself, which is pretty dark.
That's quite a statement. Who do you think that is?
I'm not going to share at this point. I know all the names of the people that were involved in this process. And again, you have to question, why wasn't I put through the same risk management board that everybody else was put through, including members of my family?
And you reject it not because you're no longer a working royal.
Sorry?
And you reject that it has nothing to do with the fact that you're no longer a working royal.
Whether I have an official role or not is irrelevant to the security needs that I.
Facts.
Let me rephrase that. Whether I have an official role or not is irrelevant to the threats, risks, and impact on the reputation of the UK if something was to happen. And again, that is proven by all of the examples that exist out there. So for me, having an official role was conditional on keeping security. But for everybody else, people who have chosen this life to enter into public office and then leave, get it for life, regardless of whether they have risk or threat to their name. And by the way, I agree with that. I think that is absolutely the right thing to do. That if you come in and you serve your country, even if it's a minimum of 4 years, that you get the protection that you require because of your public service. I was born into this position. It wasn't a choice. I've served my country for 35 years. I believe that I am still continuing to serve my country. Public service is my life. That is the dedication that will never change. And then all the other bits and pieces that are added to that. There are very, very real threats that exist out there. Some that are known about, some that are being withheld. And for people in power and responsibility of decisions to know that those threats and risks exist, but to turn around and say, well, because you don't have an official role, your life doesn't actually matter anymore. Well, you can imagine how I feel about that, but you can also imagine, not even imagine, that is the most illogical argument in the history of arguments.
And finally, just because you mentioned, your connection to your country, your public service, after this years-long battle, do you think your relationship has changed with the UK? Do you feel let down by your country?
It's a big question. At this point, I'm feeling very let down. It's the minority of people, especially those that read the tabloids and the press themselves. The press themselves have incited so much hatred towards myself, my wife, and even our children. But that's hard to forgive. There are decisions that have been made. There are things that have happened since 2016, especially throughout my whole life. But let's just stick since 2016. There are things that have happened that I can now forgive. I've moved past that. I can forgive my family's involvement, my father, my brother, and my stepmother. I can forgive the press to a large extent as well for so many things that have happened. What I'm struggling to forgive, and what I will probably always struggle to forgive, is that a decision that was made in 2020 that affects my every single day, and that is knowingly putting me and my family in harm's way. Everybody knew that they were putting us at risk in 2020, and they hoped that me knowing that risk would force us to come back. But then when you realise that that didn't work, do you not want to just keep us safe? Whether you're the government, whether you're the royal household, whether you're my dad, my family, despite all of our differences, do you not want to just ensure our safety? I'm calling for, the Home Secretary and the government to do a review of RABEC. And I'm also asking for an R&B assessment that I haven't received since 2019.
Just because you spoke there about forgiveness, it sounds like the last step to repairing relations with your family is these security issues.
How do you look for
what you said there?
100%. Whatever noise has been created, whatever stories have been written, this has always been the sticking point. And put yourself in my shoes. If you step back to try to create a different role, the same official role, but a different working relationship with the institution that you were born into, for the sake of your wife and your own mental health and your child, which now, of course, a lot more has come out because I felt as though it needed to come out. The other side of the story needed to be told. God forbid anything should happen. And I don't regret that at all. But 2020, when that decision happened, I couldn't believe it. I actually couldn't believe it. I thought with all the disagreements and all of the chaos that's happening, the one thing that I could rely on is my family keeping me safe. And not only did they decide to remove my security in the UK, but they also signalled to every single government around the world not to protect us.
How are you feeling about this decision? Because clearly you have 2 children, Archie, Lilibet. They're not able to see their grandfather, their uncle, their cousins, in a way that you feel is safe for them. So what's your feelings kind of moving forward? Is there any way that this could be resolved?
Firstly, I'm devastated. Not so much as devastated as with the loss that I am about the people behind the decision, feeling as though this is okay. You know, I don't. Is it a win for them? Is it a win that that I don't get the protection that the threats and risks and impact say that I should? I would hope they wouldn't consider it a win. I'm sure there's some people out there, probably most likely the people that wish me harm, consider this a huge win. But this is.
Oh, God.
There have been so many differences between me and some of my family. This current situation that has been ongoing for 5 years with regard to human life and safety is the sticking point. It is the only thing that's left. Of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things. But there is. I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile. As I learned through the First Nations throughout Canada, because of the Invictus Games, their goal in life was always truth and reconciliation. And I turned around to them in many conversations and I said, right, but reconciliation can't come without truth. Well, I've now found out the truth. I've shared some of it with you today. A lot of it exists out there, whether people choose to ignore it or not. So it would be nice to have that reconciliation part now. If they don't want that, that's entirely up to them.
And now that this court battle is over, do you feel you will be able to approach your father?
Harry, don't cry!
I mean, if no, I don't think he would ever want to talk about it. I think he would just push it aside, and the argument will continue to be this is a government decision. It may well be a government decision, but how did they reach that decision? When the rabbit chair, the first place that they went to was the palace to understand what it is that the royal household or what the royal family want for me. I have never ever been allowed or offered to make my own representations. Not in 2020 and not for the last 5 years. And the new rabbit chair continues to avoid answering some very specific questions that I have. And one of your previous questions that I think is really important is this case-by-case basis. For me, and only me, there has to be a royal obligation in order to receive protection on UK soil. And I think that speaks volumes.
Thank you.
Prince Harry talking exclusive there to BBC News and to Neda Tawfik. An emotional interview, a powerful interview, a long interview there with Neda. Let me just take you through some of the key lines we were just listening to. If you're just joining us here on the programme, the Prince talking about being devastated after losing that legal challenge in the courts here today.
Bye. Yeah, I don't want to hear any more from BBC. They're all trash. Yeah, so guys, what do you think? See? What do you think? First of all, I wish I had thought about, flipping the camera from the beginning. If you guys want me to rewind to the beginning and flip again, please drop a like in the chat. I don't know what I can't. What do you guys want to? Do you think you saw enough? Let me know. Guys, it's a mess, an absolute mess. You know what I was hoping? I was hoping that Harry would not cry because I'm like, nah. I can see that you're heartbroken and it kills me for you, but like I didn't want him to start crying because I'm like, nah, these people do not deserve your tears. Kathy, I will scream if I want to. Well, it's my channel. The fuck? Quit being stupid. Lisa 134. Kiss. I don't know who you're talking to. I hope it's not me. Don't assume because my hands are occupied, I will drag people in the chat if you're rude. Now let me just thank you, Jerry. New one. If my voice is not to your taste, you are very free. Oh, right. Sorry. Lisa, please don't be annoyed. Everybody's emotions are very high right now. Guys, I have to say I was not expecting it to be this long. I'm starting from the beginning again. I've rewound it to the beginning up onto the part that we started from so you can see it. So I'm going to quickly flip the phone again so you can see from the beginning if that's okay with everyone. Cool. Let's do it.
Um, I I can't see a
Oh, sorry.
um, I I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done, um, despite what some people in that country have done. Um, so you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK. Of course I do, and I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland. You know.
And as you say, you've gone back several times during this years-long battle. What about the security arrangements that were in place made you feel it would be unsafe for you and your family?
There's only so much that I can say because of the redaction process and the national security matters at hand, but everything. Because in 2020, beginning of 2020, I was scored the highest as far as risk was concerned, and then overnight I was reduced to the lowest without actually going through the risk management board. So one does question how that is even possible, and also the motive behind that at the time. And that was in 2020. And as hard as it is to appreciate or understand why the decision was made the way that it was in 2020, the hardest thing for me has been the fix of that decision for the last 5 years. The fact that I still haven't had a risk management board assessment done for me over the last 5 years. Everybody else within this group of people get it at a minimum once a year. So again, I would not have taken this far if I didn't have compelling evidence of facts that that reveal why the decision was made. And I'm sitting here today talking to you where, you know, we've lost the appeal, but the other side have won in keeping me unsafe. So again, there's a lot of question marks that a lot of people will have. I have all of the truth. I have all of the knowledge now throughout the legal process. I've uncovered my worst fears. And to now know today, based on this judgment, that there was no legal framework that constrains the decisions of this body, RABEC, of which the Royal Household sit on. And I didn't know that until this legal process in 2021. One of the first things my lawyer said to me was, as disclosure started, as this process started, she turned around and said, "Did you know that the Royal Household sat on RABEC?" And my jaw hit the floor.
Well, I want to ask you about that because the King's private secretary sits on RABEC now.
Sir Clive Waterton, yeah.
Do you wish
And another person as well, but yes.
Do you wish your father had intervened, despite how that may have looked?
I've never asked him to intervene. I've asked him to step out of the way and let the experts do their job. This RABEC committee is an expert committee full of professionals, plus the Royal Household. And the Royal Household don't have any role in that, on the RABEC committee, other than the helping influence the decisions based on members of the royal family. And 5 years later, every single visit that I do back to the UK has to go through the Royal Household. My representative on the RABEC committee, still to this day, is the Royal Household. That is not a decision that I choose. I am forced to go through the Royal Household and accept that they are putting my best interests forward during these conversations and the deliberations. So no, I haven't asked my father to intervene. The whole point of a risk management board, which, as I said, everybody else gets, but I haven't, never been given since back end of 2019 was the last one that I was given. The whole point of that is to have a board and a risk assessment, a separate board from RABEC, that considers all of the facts and all the circumstances. It is a system and an assessment that is designed to be non-biased and to avoid interference. What I know throughout this legal process is the interference that was created came from the royal household. And the RABEC chair at the time, who I believe I can talk about because he's no longer there, Sir Richard Mottram, the first thing he did, or the first people that he went to go and see, was the royal household at the palace. So whether it's the media or whether it's anybody else that claims that the royal household and my father and my family don't have any decision-making capabilities on RABEC, well then what's their role? They're not experts. What's their role on that? And Sir Richard Mottram emailed back in January of 2020 that an RMB would be necessary before taking my security away. After his visit to the palace, that RMB that was planned was abandoned in favour of alternative governance measures.
What the court decided today was that they were justified for 4 reasons to not have that review. And a major part of that is because you're no longer a working royal, a change in your status. Do you not accept that from the court?
Well, my status.
So guys, just to avoid playing the whole thing again, I just wanted to play the part that I think that's the part. I hope that's the part. But yeah, that was the part that I flipped the camera. my brain clicked. Oh yeah, flip the camera, dummy. And yeah, guys, I've seen all your comments in the chat. I agree with everything. They are treating this man like he killed someone or that he stole something because how dare Harry and his wife go to America, be successful, and show up the royal family. I want to say something, yeah? Please don't fight me in the chat because God knows I am not a fan. We all get to see what Prince William looks like nowadays, and frankly, X is very cruel. Someone was saying that he's literally wasting away. He's rotting from the inside, which I love dark jokes. So I was dying of laughter. But if we think about it logically, and I cannot believe I am saying this, as jealous and as nasty as his brother is, I think his brother does love him in his own way. I wanted to say delusional way. I really feel that the reason why William is wasting away is because he knows deep inside what he is doing to his sibling is beyond wicked. It is not Meghan's fault that she is a star. It is not Meghan's fault that William went to marry the most, I'm sorry to say, mediocre, lazy, and people mock her public speaking. I have terrible public speaking. I tend to repeat myself. But let me give Kate 0.00% of grace. To me, you don't need to be a public speaker. Public speaking is not her strength. That's why she has money. She hires people, right? What people want to see are your works. Public speaking doesn't stop her from having charities, doesn't stop her from actually doing good in the world, right? Was it stopping her? In fact, public speaking wasn't even an issue until Meghan showed. Okay, well, I am happy to be wrong about this, but I do not. Then again, I wasn't paying attention to the royal family, so I have no idea. But for those of you who were watching from the beginning, was public speaking the thing they were dragging Kate for when they just dragging her for the fact that she's just a lazy person? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Public speaking is not an excuse for why Kate is an absolute fanny. The reason why the reason why I drag Kate and I continue to drag this woman is a woman of her age without any tangible contribution to this world, with all the privilege, money, access, and time. The most valuable thing she has, ladies and gentlemen, is time. And she still has not been able to achieve one thing. And if anybody comes into my chat and says early years, please get the F out. Please don't do that. Early years? Really? 14, almost 15 years in the royal family, and early years is all she has to show for it? What? What? And thank you, Karine Peters. Anybody here, please, if you feel, please feel free to link it in the chat, because I certainly can't find it. Can you tell me what value the early years has done for us? Quickly, name one thing. Name what fundraising, tea party, polo match, girls get together, movie night. One thing that has been organized and done, and we can say, okay, this is what they did with early years. Please raise your hand. Give me one thing, one link. Lazy woman adding no value. Your sister-in-law Megan came, who is from a working class background, who is a humanitarian. She is not new to this. She's true to this. Instead of this lazy woman to as a way to kind of like, okay, Megan, welcome to the family. You're new to this environment. Let me help you settle in. On the other hand, let's become sisters. You can show me how to, if not public speak, let's talk together. Look, I've been in the family for this amount of years. I want to use my platform to try and do good in this world. How do you identify these things? Let's work together. That is what a normal person would do. And frankly, you know what? This is how, when people say Kate is not a girl's girl, I believe it, because Kate doesn't have any friends. Please correct me if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen. The only friend they've ever given her is Rose. And from what we've been made to understand, don't come and shout at me. They said Rose is who William is sleeping with. She doesn't have any friends. Kate could have, and Meghan could have been her friend. Meghan could have introduced her into a circle of other friends. This could have been an amazing relationship. You know how Nachos, Harry's friend and real brother, how Meghan is friend with his wife. This is what should have happened with Kate. And even if Kate, because let's be honest, Kate is jealous. Kate was jealous, fine. But Kate, that didn't stop you from being a decent human being. Why would you allow your people in the press to start your royal household to start leaking lies about Meghan? Why would you allow people from Kensington Palace to be leaking things? Why would you was it a day before or a day after, go and tell people that Meghan made you cry on her wedding day, the same day that her father tried to sabotage? You couldn't even give her grace. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, when they say, oh, why are you always talking about Kate? Because I can't get, do you know what? I'm not joking. I can't get over that. Hi, Zandile. Hi, everybody. How are you, Jerry? I can't get over it. I'm sorry. Because I'm a girl's girl, right? I'm a girl's girl. My closest friends are women. And we root for each other. We shout each other's name. Because the world is hard. We defend each other. We stand with each other. And you know how, Meghan is a girl's girl. Meghan moved to Montecito. Look at the friends she's made. Wives she's formed her Majan group. Her friends are inviting her places. Oprah is inviting her places. Look at that Jamie lady. Look at Kadi, she's known for a very long time. Look at Whitney, the way she introduced herself to Whitney, throwing a party in Montecito, inviting friends. Because when Harry and Meghan landed, they knew, or rather she knew, that look, we can't just hide in our houses. We need to get to know our friends. We need to get to know these people. And now she can call these people friends. She can invite them to her show. She can use her platform to help their careers. And even if she, okay, fine, I'm not saying everybody that she knows is close to her, but the fact that she even has that Marjan group, you can tell that Marjan group they are close. Meghan has only been in Montecito, what, 4 years? 4 years? Give or take 5 years. Kate has been in the royal family for, what, 14 years, Abby? Not to mention the 10 years that she wasted on William. So let's give her, what, 24 years? Who are Kate's friends, please? In the chat, Kate fans, in the chat, please name one person that Kate is friends with, please. Come and let me know in the chat. Someone said Christine also, please. Please, Lorna beg. We all know that friendship is not genuine. She probably put that there. I think Kate only has friends with people that are going to insult Meghan on her behalf. Friends with you. So yeah, it's honestly it's a disgrace. A disgrace, a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And then I think this is why I was saying that Harry, please do not cry. Because you could tell he's tired. He's emotional, he's raw, he's tired. And I felt, the thing is, when I was watching the interview, did you guys feel it too? I felt his exhaustion. Can you imagine what this must be like? Can you guys imagine what it must be like? It's one thing to not be close to your family. It's one thing to be fighting with your family and to feel wronged by your family. It's another thing to have this whole thing play out in the media. It's another thing to have your father who, look, every time he says royal household, let me be petty, my brain hears my dad, my brother, people who are older than him and are supposed to protect him. His father, even if William is being a tit, your dad, Charles, are you serious? Zandile, you can rewind to the beginning of the live and watch it. So I started it and then I flipped the camera around. You can watch it. Of course, Harry still loves them, and in some sick way, I have to say, Harry, they love him too. It's just, to me, this thing they are doing is to punish him for Meghan. I'm serious. I think this is the Meghan of it all. Yeah, because they've dropped subliminal hits. They've dropped subliminal hints through the press as well. They've dropped so many subliminal hints that, oh, Harry, leave your wife. Leave your wife and come back. Who wants to bet good money right now? If Harry divorced Meghan today, no. Next day he will have security. Who wants to bet? If Harry left Meghan today, and let me be cruel and say left Meghan and left his children before the end of what are we saying? By the end of bank holiday, he will have security. They want him back. They don't want her back. Because Meghan, anyhow you cut it, she's the real star. In my video yesterday, I was saying that Meghan, the press nowadays use Kate as a foil for Meghan. Let's think about that again. Kate, the future queen consort of the UK, is being used as a foil for the younger brother's wife. That is where we are in 2025. Frankly, I hope everybody who watch, of course they will be, Chantal. I hope everybody who watches this interview, because there will be some derangers, and I know that lady came into my chat, like Cassie and what's that other one. A lot of people will watch this interview and miss all the good points, all the important points. But for the large majority of people who have a soul, this is going to make Charles very unpopular. Who wants to bet? I think the press can't fight this one. This is Harry's own words. It is not a source close to Harry or a friend close to Harry. This is Harry staring into the camera and telling you that he's tired. I've done my best. I've done it. I've taken it to court. I've exposed people. I just want to come back to the family now. I just want to be given security. Stop punishing me. And I have to also say something, guys, and I'm not very happy about this. I think there are some people who are going to get a lot of satisfaction from this, by the way. They're going to get a lot of satisfaction from that. They're going to be very happy that they can see Harry is suffering, because this is exactly what they were hoping for. That yes, he's going through hell. He's going through it. Because to them, and he said so, to them, this is going to make them very happy that he is suffering. And that's the part that I'm sad about because I wish that's why I was like, Harry, don't cry. Don't give them that. Don't give them that satisfaction. But I don't know. I think the reason he did this interview more than anything is to say, look, I'm not fighting with you people. I just want my security. And that's why you can see he intervened and brought in the UK government and said, somebody, oh yes, the British media will be celebrating. This is exactly, they'll be like, see, we told you Harry was suffering. It's his wife that's keeping him away from the king. I'm on one hand, I'm not happy that he had to expose himself. On the other hand, I understand why he did it. This is an appeal to the media. This is an appeal to the government, I think, more than anything, guys. An appeal because he said that he wants the government to step in. That look, I'm exhausted. I've done everything I can. I'm exhausted. Help me. No, no. Do you know what, Karine? I decided. Petty me wishes he had, but in a way, I'm glad he didn't as well. No, no. Let's give him this, right? I think. I mean, I get you, and I feel the same way, actually, Karine. I get, I get you, and in many ways, I feel the same way. But I think he's just tired. I think honestly he's just tired. He's I think it's a thing now that it's just tired. This is his family. We have to remember, guys, this is not some random stranger. These are people that he grew up with. This is his father, who he loves, and his brother, who he loves, despite everything. And he said that look, I'm ready to forgive you people for just about everything you've done to me. But since 2020, the continuing exposure of my family to danger, I don't know. Me, I don't see vulnerability as weakness. I see it as I'm laying all my cards on the table. I'm telling you how I feel. I'm appealing to the government to intervene. I want to bring my children home. I want to bring my family home, but I want them to be safe. If you can't, if you cannot give me the security to give my family, I'm not bringing them here. I know, Karine, I know. Well, it's morning. It's like what 6 a.m. there. The decision just came out. He's exhausted. Frankly, I feel very deeply. And to your point about him keeping it in, look at how we are all reacting. Even if you hate Harry, come on now. At this point, the whole public is watching. The world is watching this interview and saying, "Come on now, come on now." I think it's good he did this interview. It's good that he was, because you see, that's why I was like, it's a very matter of fact thing. He's just being as raw and as honest as he can be. And I say good for him. Kudos to him, frankly. No point pretending that this isn't hurting you. And yeah, Lily Tom, you're right. I believe this would be. I get you, new 166. He didn't cry. I was worried that he would cry. I was like, Harry, don't you dare cry. But you can still get enough of the pain and the stress this has put him through. And I think that's enough. Karine, I don't know if the public will continue to support this. I don't know if the public will, because people are watching this in their households right now. I mean, we're human. Even if you hate Harry, this is me. I'm very curious to see. I'm going to go on X very soon. Ugh. So I'm curious. I know X is not in any way, shape, or form a barometer. But look, Harry being very emotional on camera, it may not go the way you guys think. I think this might be a good thing. Because people are human. People are parents. Everybody can relate to the human element of this, right? We all belong to a family of some sort. We can empathize. We can relate. Poor guy. But yeah, I really enjoyed this live. I think it was nice. I won't lie, the interview shocked me. I thought it would just be a short thing, but the fact that it was that long, it was that protracted, and it addressed many points around. I remember, a lot of the bullshit talking points from the press that people are saying that because you're a member of the royal family, you are no longer a working royal, you don't deserve. I love how he addressed that. I love how he said I was a military man. And by the very nature of the fact that I served my country, I deserve to be protected, which everybody would agree with. I love that he stood on business on that. And you see, do you know what I think is going to happen, guys? By that military service, I think he will get a lot of support, if nothing else. Because don't forget Invictus. By the virtue of the fact Harry's an ex-soldier, I think he will get a lot of support. Because even if you hate Meghan for whatever psycho jealousy, racist reason, this is a military man, ex-military man who does good for the military through Invictus, who does good for people. I think a lot of people are going to be like, just give him his security. What the fuck? But yeah, can I say what the fuck on live? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's so good seeing all of you react. I really enjoyed this live, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to step away. I'm going to stop the live. I'm going to go on X and gauge general sentiment. Let's see what let's see what X is saying. X is not the world. Let's see what X is saying. I'm going to ignore the Rangers because they are idiots. I'm going to yeah, Corinne, I get that, but no, but Corinne, it's different when you're reading it from a tabloid. It's different when you're hearing it directly from the horse's mouth. Anybody who's looking at Harry right now, listening to this interview, and is still feeling that Harry deserves to be killed because he's a member, he chose to leave the royal family, wasn't well anyway. I think a large number of people are going to support Harry. I think they are, because a lot of lies were debunked in this interview. And I'm glad he called out the fact that the cost of his security was a lie from the press, because and I was like, good. I'm glad somebody has finally said this thing. I'm glad somebody finally said that 20 million figure they kept on calling was BS. I'm glad he called that out. He said that it's not even up to that. It's like, what's £1 million? So here's my question. If his security is costing £1 million and he's rarely ever here, can you explain to me why this man should not have security? At least he's working. He's actually doing something that we can see, and he's coming with Invictus. What Kate, William, Charles, and Camilla are trapezing around the UK in their special helicopter, doing effort for society, and they are getting more money, I'm sure, in security. Please don't piss me off, British government. I don't know if the government will step in, but I'm hoping public sentiment will work in his favor. What do you guys think? Yeah, well, maybe. The world is falling apart, so I can understand why this is not their priority. So right now, I'm going to go on X and see if I see anything. I'll try and gather some articles together, and we can do another reaction. Maybe not live this time, maybe just to give you guys some, or maybe I'll wait till tomorrow. Actually, let me get some more so that we can have a more substantial, juicy reaction. We have more information, and we can do a live if you guys are interested or not. But yeah, this has been very, very enlightening. I've enjoyed it. I'm very touched and I'm very sad. You could be surprised, new one. You could be surprised. I think he will get support. I really think Harry will get support, because this was hard to watch. I think he will get support. But yeah, I'm gonna go off now. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Thank you all for staying with me. I hope you enjoy. Sorry, I wasn't able to mount my phone. I don't know what the hell happened today. I'll go and get this fixed. To your point about Invictus, Overcomer, and everybody else, I personally agree. I think they should remove it from here. South Korea is very keen. They should go to South Korea. Not America, because nobody's going to travel for that. They should go to South Korea. South Korea has said, come, we will host you. I think they should just go to South Korea, frankly. But yeah, guys, continue to let me know your thoughts in the chat. Thank you for all your support, the super chats. Thank you. I hope this doesn't get demonetized. I think it will. Please support me with the super chats if you can. And yeah, let's please continue to support Harry. Keep them in your prayers. Megan, keep them in your prayers. Keep the babies in your prayers. Archie's birthday is coming up, and it's very sad to know that Archie is going to be what, 6, 7? Is it 7? It's 7, right? Or 6? I don't know. He's growing up and continues to grow up without having met his grandfather. Is a dick, by the way, and William is a funny. Anyway, guys, please have a good evening. My plan is to gather enough articles so that we can do a discussion tomorrow. But if I see anything and I think we need to react quickly, I'll just post it as a video. Thank you and have a good one. Take care. Bye.